Good day, YouTube. Today, for any of you here in Canada would know, it's Bell Let's Talk Day. Bell Let's Talk is about breaking the stigma and the silence around mental health. Most of you have heard a lot of the stuff that's gone on with me. For those of you that are new to the place or don't know, yeah, I am diagnosed with severe clinical depression as well as borderline personality disorder. I was diagnosed with BPD back when I was 15. Well, I wasn't diagnosed at the time. I was told I had it. They just hadn't done full-on testing, and there was nothing they could do for it. So you know, I was crazy. So I didn't deal with anything then. I carried that for 20 years, and in those 20 years, I became more and more depressed with my state, with my inability to fully control myself or understand myself. Both the BPD and the depression ended up costing me my kids, costing me my wife at the time. It cost me a lot of relationships with friends and family. It did almost cost me my life. I had two attempts. One when I was 18 and one when I was 20. At 18, I tried to drink myself down, and at 20, I tried to overdose on pills. With time, things happened. Things got worse in my own mind. I had no idea who I was. I had no idea. I had no self-worth. I let a lot of things happen to me that I probably shouldn't have. I let a lot of people do and say a lot of things I shouldn't have, and that's because I had no belief in myself. I had no belief I was worth anything. I had no confidence. I had no esteem, and I really didn't have a real image of what I was or who I was. I was a chameleon, as most people with BPD end up being. I changed myself to fit in with what I thought people would want at different times in my life. You know, I was a punker, I was a goth, I was a metalhead, I was this, I was that. I don't know which one of those was really me. I think back on it now, not 100% sure which one was really me. I am a lot better now. I've gone through a couple different anger management things. Not that I needed anger management. I did those for court to see my kids again before the court told me I had to. I've done dialectical behavioral therapy, which is DBT. It is the way that you. Well, it's the way to treat BPD. I've done CBT. I'm in another CBT and DBT class now. I'm going to be doing a coping and happiness course soon. Basically, I let my mind and my bullshit from my past control me for 20 years, and it was time to end that. I've done pretty good with myself. A lot of the things that come along with BPD aren't there anymore. I still do have trouble sometimes with self-esteem, with self-confidence. Sometimes, all the time. I know that when I'm on here, when I'm on camera, when I'm with people that know me and all that, I seem very confident. I'm not at all. Not one bit, to be honest with you, not one bit. And it is what it is. My self-image, I still don't really have that. I don't know for sure who I really am. I think I do now. I think I know more so than I did before, at least. But am I 100% sure? I don't know. People might wonder why I always have dogs and why I've always had dogs. I like animals more than people, and part of BPD is a insane fear of abandonment. Insane fear of abandonment. To the point where you usually push people away before they leave you because you know they're going to leave you anyway. It ends up being a self-fulfilling prophecy. because you do it without being able to stop it, and it really makes it so that people do end up leaving, and then it reinforces that behavior in your mind because you're said, see, it's right, they were going to leave anyway. Animals don't do that, and animals give you unconditional love, and they don't give stigma or anything else because of mental illnesses. That's why I love dogs as much as I do, because just that, it's unconditional. These two will love me no matter what, and they'll always be there for me as long as they live. I was actually in a really good mood before I started doing this. Now the depression, I have changed my diet, which is a big part towards depression apparently. Changed my diet quite a bit. One of the reasons why I've taken 70 pounds off is a change of diet and doing a lot more exercise. Forcing myself to do things, even on the days I wake up, because I mean, I'm on antidepressants. I don't have mood stabilizers or anything like that because BPD is personality based. It's not chemical based. It's much like bipolar, except again it's personality based. But I do have antidepressants for my clinical depression, and even with those, some days are a lot better than others. Some days I wake up feeling like I could rule the world. Other days I wake up and I don't want to do anything, and that's just the way it is. You deal with it, and you force yourself to do the things you need to do. I know I need to take the dogs out for a walk, so I take the dogs out for their walk. I know I have to work out because, one, I want to get back in shape for the Highland Games, and two, I need to do it. I need to push myself through that because it helps me. The endorphins help, the just everything. One of the questions that you get quite often is how did you cope? Because BPD is one of those things where you really can't cope. And I can actually pinpoint where my breaking point was, and it's when I left university. That was my breaking point. One, I failed. I was kicked out of university. I was kicked out of university because I didn't pay them. I lost out on. I was no longer wrestling. I wasn't working out all the time anymore. It was my breaking point. You know, I failed. I set out to do something and I failed, and that was the first time that had ever happened to me. And it broke me, mostly because of the no sports anymore. The sports were my way of sports and music. Those were my two ways of channeling my hatred for myself, channeling my dark feelings. And when I stopped working out, when I stopped wrestling, that's when things really started to pile on. The BPD was always there, but the depression started right around then. And I mean, depression is one of the things that will build off of BPD. Where I'm at now, again, much better place. I know that the working out is needed. It helps keep my mind going. It helps keep me from. Basically, it's to keep me from sitting. It's to, they say idle hands are the devil's playground. Well, an idle mind for me is probably the worst thing that I could have. I need to be doing things. I need to be more social than I am. I need to make a new circle of friends is what it comes down to. I do see all these comments and I will get to them, don't worry. I need to make a new circle of friends is what it does come down to, because I need to socialize. I need to not just be in this house all the time. I had 7 years of my life where it was work, sleep, kids, work, sleep, kids, work, sleep, kids, and I never left. I never did anything, and that compounded everything. It made things 3, 4, 5 times worse than it was originally. I have a big group of friends that that we all work different shifts. Things couldn't happen. I used to be off Sunday, Monday. We'd get together all the time. Then when my Sunday, Mondays changed, we didn't get together anymore, and I understood it. People have lives. Then I'd get Sunday, Mondays off, and I'd have them off for a whole month, and I wouldn't see them for that whole month. And then they said, well, we'd like to do things on Fridays. Well, it's been a month now that I've been off Thursday, Friday. I haven't seen them once yet either. So it comes down to the fact that I need to do something. I need to get out. I can't keep relying on these people that are fickle. And they're fickle, one, because they're fickle, and two, they're fickle because they don't know how to take me anymore. One of the reasons most people don't come out of the closet, so to speak, with this shit is because people look at you differently. And it's a sad thing. More people right now have mental illness and are hiding it than is acceptable, and it's the reason why people are gone. It's the reason why things happen. The last year and a half of my life, well, actually, let's not say that. The last year and a half of my life, starting back in May 14th. May 14th is when my ex-wife left, but let's go May 14th and back. The last year and a half of my life at that point was the exact same every day. I would wake up and I'd just try to make it through the day. I'd wake up, I'd be with my kids all day. I would go to work. I would come home. I would go to work at 6 in the afternoon. I'd get home at 3:30. I'd go downstairs into the basement, and I'd sit in the basement in my red chair that has been in a few beer videos a few times. You could usually see it in the background when all the guys were around too. I'd sit in that chair with a knife in my hand and think about ending my life. And every single day it happened like that. And every single day I'd sit there and I'd be like, I can't do this. I have to be here for my kids. I can't let them grow up without a father. And I'd put the knife down, come up to bed, I'd fall asleep for the 2.5 to 3 hours I'd get. Then I'd be up with the kids again, and it was a never-ending cycle like that. Then she left, and I mean, I can't blame her for leaving. I was not the greatest guy to be around. What I find funny is that she knew as well as I did that I had things wrong. We were both pretending I didn't. And when I decided to get help is when she decided to abandon me. Again, I can't blame her. She dealt with a lot for a lot of years. I think the saddest part of it all is I'm actually happier with her not here than I was with her here. And the only thing that I'm sad about is my kids being gone. But other than that, I am a much happier person right now than I was then. But she left, and I sat downstairs again with that knife. And I thought, this time I actually can't be there for my kids. I did fail them. I failed them like I failed in university. I failed them like and back then I told myself I failed at a lot of things. When thinking back on it now with behavioral therapy and warped thinking training and all that, I know that it wasn't true the way I felt about things. But I sat there and I thought that. And I mean, they say you always see the light at the end of the tunnel. Well, in May, I didn't see the light at the end of the tunnel anymore. It had been the first time I hadn't seen the light in the end of the tunnel in 15 years. But I didn't see a light at the end of the tunnel anymore. I faked it. I made it through things. The beer festival came and went. I had people here. I did have a few breakdowns while people were here. I know I yelled at Nick and them, and I'm sorry for that, guys. But yeah, I was in the darkest place I had been in 15 years, and I didn't know what was going on in my life. I didn't know when I was going to get help, because the mental health system in Canada is one of the worst mental health systems out there. But yeah, I didn't see a light at the end of the tunnel anymore, and bad thoughts ran through my mind almost 24 hours a day. And that's when I decided I had to do something, because if I didn't, I wouldn't be around anymore. And I pushed. I called the hospital every day. I called the outpatient mental health clinic every day. I called our crisis line every day. I had a therapist that would talk to me through work. I had my work therapist talk to me twice a week. I had another therapist from Impact Niagara show up at the house once a week. I needed to change. I needed to fix myself. I needed to take my life back over. The worst part about it all is realizing that you lost 20 years. That you lost 20 years. I have 3 kids that I love. I love with all my heart. I didn't know how to love them. I didn't know how to show them love. I didn't have that growing up. I was neglected by my mother quite a bit. I didn't get to meet my father until later on in my life. My grandmother on my father's side loved me completely, and she knew what was going on. I talked to her when I was diagnosed, and when my mother told me just keep it quiet because people are going to think you're crazy, and you have enough going on. Even with everything else, you don't need to be crazy too. My grandmother was the only one that knew, and she was there for me no matter what. And she was the only one that really showed me that unconditional love. I do see these scrolling, and I'll get to them. I will. Thank you for watching, and thank you for talking. I will get to them all. Where was I even gonna go? See, I just stopped and you guys. Yeah. So I called the hospital daily to try and speed up my getting into see a shrink, because it was going to be a 6-month wait, and I knew if it was a 6-month wait, unless I signed myself into a hospital, I wasn't going to make it 6 months. I know Chris showed up one day. We were supposed to go out, and he showed up. It's before I ended up seeing the shrink. He showed up, and he had to wake me up, and I never did tell him that the reason he had to wake me up is because I did take a lot of sleeping pills that day. It wasn't me trying to commit suicide, because I knew how many were safe. It was me just trying to shut down that day. It is what it is. It was the only way at the time I knew how to deal with things, was to just shut down. But again, to realize that you lost 20 years of your life, that in a family where the majority of people in the family, other than the women, only make it to be 50 to 60, it's a scary thing to think that I lost a good third of my life to this. I have these 3 kids that I love that I didn't know how to show love, and another scary thing is to sit back and think about whether or not I actually loved their mother, or if I was just with her because I was scared to lose her, scared to be alone. Because I don't know. I do not know, to be honest. And then I think about that too. Did I waste 14 years with a woman I didn't care about? Did I ever care about her? I think I did. But again, with BPD, you have no idea of your own self-worth. You have no idea of your own self-image. I'm getting to the point where I have a self-image now. I'm getting to the point where I feel like I'm worth something. Not much, but something. But I'm not sure. I'm not sure of a lot of things in my past. Yeah. Those 20 years that I lost, well, 15 of them, I just stopped. I just stopped doing things for those 15 years. As soon as I got kicked out of school, I just gave up. I became a fat tub of lard, basically. I drank, and it wasn't like now. I think I've been drunk twice in almost a year now. I don't drink to excess anymore at all, but back then I drank to deal with things. While I sat in that chair with that knife, I'd be drinking and drinking and drinking. I had bottle upon bottle of scotch downstairs and vodka and whiskey and everything else. I got rid of it all. I gave it all away. I just have the beer in the house, and the reason I only really buy beer that I haven't had is so that I do the video and that's it. And I only do a couple of those. I right now I'm doing like 2 or 3 a week at the most, and I'm not even drinking the entire beer. So I'm at that point where I don't know. I don't drink really at all anymore, and I'm okay with that. I actually enjoy it more. Friday I'm doing a photo shoot with a lady who is trying to this year open up and shed light on mental health. So she wants me to write a big blog post about basically the stuff I'm talking about and go as open as I want. I'm pretty much an open book. I will probably write a very long blog post that starts from the beginning till now, because I mean this is the thing. People are too scared. People are too scared to talk about things because of the way you get looked at, the way you get treated. Hell, me talking about this is the reason why I have to go to Pathstones to see my kids. Me talking about this stuff is the reason why, even though there is no proof for anything that's been said about me in court, I'm automatically guilty because I have a mental health problem. I know that I wasn't the greatest guy. I know I'm not the greatest guy. I'll never say I am. But you'll get the truth from me. And you'll get the truth from me. You'll get loyalty. You can depend on it. You can depend on me, and that's about all I can offer people. Is that I'm not the best guy. I know that. I know I have problems. Here's the problem. I also was diagnosed at a young age with an eidetic memory, which is why I never studied for anything. I never studied for anything at all growing up. Even in university, I didn't study for anything. Even in the courses I got 95s in, I didn't pick up a book and read it. I listened to the lecture, and I could remember the lecture word for word. And then I would go do the test, and I could remember the lecture word for word. Unfortunately, with the amount of concussions I've had, I'm slowly losing that. But the biggest problem with having BPD, and clinical depression, and an eidetic memory is I can remember every mean thing I've ever said in my life to anybody. And unfortunately, that continues that cycle of depression. It continues that cycle with BPD because it's hard to forgive yourself, especially when you don't want to use that as an excuse, because that's the cause, that's the root cause of it, but you still did it. It was still you that created those problems, that said those things. I wish, what's the best way to do that? There's part of my brain, there are parts of my brain that I wish I could remove. I wouldn't wish this type of stuff on anyone else. I know there are a lot of people that deal with the same thing. I know there's a lot of people that deal with worse, and to them, I'm just hoping you have the ability to talk about it. I'm hoping you have the ability to share, and I'm hoping that you have the ability to lean on somebody, because you need that. I've basically been doing this now on my own most of my life. I did have my ex-wife for a while, and at one point we did talk about what was going on, and I told her I need help, I need to deal with this, I need to get this dealt with, and you know, I need you to help me. I don't think I was fully ready to do it on my own, and the problem is you need to be ready to do it on your own. You can't be relying on somebody else to do it for you. You can't. But people do. I did. Yeah. anyway, where I was going with that is that when I was telling her that I needed the help, when I was talking about that, how, you know, things needed to be changed. I couldn't continue on the way I was going. I was told I was throwing a pity party. And right then should have been my sign that I should have gotten out, because I wasn't going to get what I needed out of that relationship. She didn't care to give it to me, and I wasn't the type of person that could give her the fairy tale knight in shining armor that she wanted. And I don't know why I know why I stayed, because I had BPD and I was afraid of abandonment. I'm not anymore. I mean, I got that going for me. I at least can say I'm not afraid of abandonment anymore. But I mean, it's also the reason why, like I said, the reason why I like dogs so much, because I know they'll never abandon me. It's a weird thing to deal with. It's a weird duality and causality. Can you two fuck off? It's just. It's a weird thing to realize. It's a weird thing to realize that that you know the person you're with doesn't have the feelings for you you need her to have. You know that you really need some support system because you're 7 hours away from your family and you're too scared to admit to this shit to anybody else, and you don't get it. And you get told it's a pity party, which is basically the same thing your mother was saying when you were first diagnosed. And then you stay with them anyway because you're afraid of them leaving you. You're afraid of being alone. It was a weird duality. It was a weird thing to deal with. And I mean, it is what it is. It is where it is. Things happen, things change, things grow. People say things happen for a reason. It took me a long time to try and figure out what the reason was behind the things that had happened to me. I don't think the things that happened to me growing up really happened for a reason. I don't see a reason why I don't see a reason why I was abused my entire life growing up. I don't see a reason why I was neglected and physically and emotionally and mentally abused. I don't see why I had friends dying around me all the time. I don't see that stuff as a strength builder. However, I think my ex-wife leaving me happened for a reason. I think that happened for me to be born again, basically. I don't think I'm 100% to be a real person again. I think I'm pretty much there. But, well, hell, I might even be there and just not realize it because I still second-guess myself on almost everything. I can't get over that. That's one of the things that I'm still working on is the second-guessing. I mean, I know where I am in life. I know what I want. I know what I'm hoping for. I know all that stuff, but I still second guess every single moment of every single day. Yes, Helga, I love you. Come here. Come here, girl. Yes, I love you. Yeah. Good girl. Good girl. Yeah. You're a good girl. Okay. I want to be able to shut the door on that chapter of my life. I want to be able to shut the door on that chapter of my life and start new. And I already know where the shutting the door is. What is my turnaround point? And that's when all this stupid shit with court is done. When I'm done with this court stuff, I feel that I have my new chapter. I have my new lease on life. I've lost 70 pounds. I'm feeling good again. I know things I want to do. I'm striving for them. I'm seeing that I can actually do the things I want to do. I've done every single therapy people have suggested. By people, I mean psychiatrists, social workers, and my actual family doctor. I've done everything they've all suggested. Every one of them is amazed that I just keep going to this stuff and that I haven't quit. They say that for the most part, they usually see people quit a few times before they get to the point I'm at. And I'm like, you know what, man? I was quit on life for 20 years. I had quit on everything for so long that I can't keep quitting. I can't keep putting it off. I have to change. I have to do this stuff. Because I know that there's no future for me if I don't. I know that I would be one of the statistics. I knew I would, because I was one of the people that just held on to those dark thoughts all the time. With BPD, you always have that thought of wanting to end your life. It's still there now, but it's more a nightmare now than what it was then. Then it was a warm blanket to hold on to. It was something to protect me. Somehow knowing that you were willing to do that was a protection mode for me. I That's enough. Come here, Boris. Come here, boy. Come here. Oh, yeah. Baby boy. Yeah. Ooh. Yeah. Good boy. Good boy. Yes, my pretty boy. Yeah. My friend Alex came down here from Ottawa. He came down here right the beginning of June, I think it was. He decided to come down, and he came down. And again, this was right at the time I was deciding that I had to change everything. I had to do this shit, or I wouldn't be around anymore. And we were walking to. Sorry, I'm just enlarging this chat window so I can actually read this stuff in a minute. We were talking about everything. We were walking to. We were walking to Lowe's. That's where we were going. We were going to Lowe's. And while we were going to Lowe's, we got talking about a lot of different things. And we cross over the highway on our walk to Lowe's. And this one highway here in the Falls doesn't have the suicide rails. And we were walking across the highway, and I was on the inside, I was on the outside, so I was right up against the railing as we were walking. I just stopped, held the railing, and I looked at him, and I'm like, I don't think I can go to Lowe's right now. And he's like, what do you mean you can't go to Lowe's right now? I'm like, all I'm thinking about right now is just rolling over the edge of this. And that's just insane that I'm thinking that. It's insane that that I let myself get to this point. We need to go back. And we went back to my place. And that's when I started calling every single moment until I got into the hospital. The only reason I didn't have to wait 6 months to get in to see a shrink was I just called at the right time. I called, and I was calling and calling and calling, and I called at one point, and the nurses were like, yeah, we actually just had a cancellation. Can you be here in 4 hours? Like, fucking right, I can be there in 4 hours. And that's how things got started. It was me realizing just how down I was, how deep and down in the rabbit hole I ended up getting. And it was time to change. We all will have our bad days. Some of us will feel emotion differently. We all do have emotion. Mine is stronger than others. With BPD, my emotions are stronger. I can't control them all the time. Well, I couldn't control them all the time. I can now. I'm actually a lot more laid back than I ever was. I'm not going to say I'll never slip. If I end up in a relationship with anybody, I can't guarantee I won't slip. But they'll know what they're getting into, at least. Hopefully more so than my ex-wife. She knew what she was getting into. She just, I don't think, realized what she was getting into. Um, she didn't realize that in the end I was going to need help. In the end, either something was going to break, something was going to give. There was no way that I was going to make it my whole life without something stupid happening in it. And a lot of stupid things happened in it, but I'm talking real stupid. But yeah, we all will have those days. Some of us do feel emotion a lot harder than others, but we all will have those days. The thing is, this is coming from somebody who was at rock bottom a few times in his life, and was at very rock bottom where there wasn't even a glimpse of light left. Um, Things can get better. And you know one of the ways things get better? By being able to talk, being able to share, being able to admit to things, and being able to have somebody to talk to, being able to talk to people without them judging you. I mean, the only reason I can do this so well right now is because I'm talking to a blank screen. I have talked in front of teens, troubled teens and stuff like that about this shit. I've talked in front of a lot of people about this stuff, but it's people that I know will never see me again, or I don't know. When it comes to people that you do know, it's almost impossible to talk about. There's like 3 people I've talked to about this shit. Talked in depth to about this shit. 2 of them didn't understand at all, and one of them I know didn't understand, but he did what he needed to do, and he acted interested, which is all you needed. Act interested, be sympathetic. For people who have friends that have any mental illness, be it depression, BPD, borderline bipolar disorder, schizophrenia, anything like that, if you really care, don't just say, "Hey man, I'm here for you if you need me." Be there for them. Actually be there for them. Go over to their house. Give them a hug and tell them it's okay. Sit there and say, "Do you want to talk? I'll listen to anything." Sit there, go knock on their door and say, "Let's go do something. I don't care if we just sit and look at each other." Don't be alone here. You have somebody. Because the compounding factor of all this is people give up because they don't think there's anyone that cares. They don't think that there's anyone that will be there for them, and they don't know how else to deal with it. Because our society has created a monster when it comes to mental illness. Anybody with mental illness is an evil person. I don't think I'm a great person, but I know I'm not evil. I don't think, half the time I don't think I have anything to offer anybody, but I know I'm not evil. I've turned down a few girls in my life in the last year, not because I didn't find them attractive or I didn't, want it to go on. It was, I thought they were getting involved with nothing. I thought they were going to get nothing out of me, and I didn't want that for them. I didn't want their life to go down the same road mine did. I didn't want anything like that to happen. So that being said, I know that there are some of my viewers that have talked to me on Facebook, that have talked to me even via text and on the phone. I'm not the greatest with advice. I'm a fairly smart man, even though I don't portray it on here. But I can listen. I can be there for you. And if I can help one person, I'm excited. If I can help 2 people, I'm immensely excited. If I can be a role model for my kids and show them that you shouldn't give up, that you can get past things no matter how bad it seems, that's an amazing thing for me. I'm going to get to some of these comments. I have to go do my workout very soon because I have to go to the lawyer soon. So let's do these comments. I'm going to take the dogs out too. So I have the chat window open on here, but it wasn't from the beginning, so I got to do here first. Actually, you know what? We'll just go right to it here. So live TV boys, you guys were here. Cheers to you. Good morning to you, Angel of Vengeance, if you're still around. I don't know if you are. Jace, New England IPA won the Nickelbrook Mystery Pack. Good morning to you. Lydia AF, good day. How are you? Good day, Gregory. Like I said, I'm sorry that I let this go as long as it did. I'm blind, right? So there. I won the genetic lottery, you know, legally blind, albino, BPD, depression, genetic lottery. Yeah. At least that I'm not actually angry about. Nothing happened, Greg. I'm just, you know what, Greg? It came down to today is, again, today is the day it is. And I decided it was time to do a little bit of sharing. Time to do a little bit of sharing that I wouldn't normally do. I wouldn't normally go this deep in. I wouldn't normally delve this far in. Even on a heart-to-heart video, I normally wouldn't delve this deep in. But I thought, you know, I've done a lot of heart-to-hearts. I've opened up about a lot of things. I might as well actually talk about this and get this over with. And I think the reason I'm seeming down is because it's sad that even after everything I've done, I'm still a little wary about admitting to a lot of this. Not all of it, but a lot of this stuff is hard to even talk about. And yeah, today just was one of those days. It wasn't one of the greatest days. I've been very tired lately, even when I sleep a lot. So I have this feeling that depression's sneaking in again. I don't know why. Maybe because I've had about 2 weeks of nothing but this house for the most part. I did get out a week and a half ago with Jen and her friend Sydney, and that was great. I needed that, but that was the last time I was out in a long time. I don't get out anymore. I don't get out, and it's driving me bonkers. Sitting alone in a house is when you can think, and when you can think is when bad things start happening in your mind, and when doubts start forming. Yeah, whatever. Good day, Sean. Drunken one. You know what? I am 100% sure the Irish mental health system is even worse because, like we've talked about in the past, my family being Irish, I know how they looked upon my shit, and I can just imagine just being around all Irish people and how that's gonna look. Jason Voorhees, good day. Lydia, I'm sorry that, well, I'm happy and sorry at the same time that you can relate. I'm sorry that you've had to deal with any of that. Yeah, it is what it is. You know, Drunken One, I know that. Here's the saddest thing about it, Drunken One, is I have more friends and more people I even count as family right now on the internet than here. Um, Here it's me. Here it's me and nothing else really. I had a lot of people at one point until things happened. And now I really don't. And then there's other people that left for different reasons. Things circled the drain. Um, like I said, I'm in a much better place than I ever was. I'm in a much better place than I've been in decades, and that's a good thing. There are other people that haven't gotten to that point where they're in a much better place than they were in decades, and I feel for them, and I wish I could help them. I think for me, the biggest thing is sitting in this empty house. It's me and the dogs and nothing else. And if I'm not walking the dogs or at work, I'm not really getting out. That's the reason why BDU is always up in the air. People are always like, "Is BDU happening?" And I'm like, if I can't find anything to do, if I can't find anyone to go out with, because I mean, I don't have much money. I would have had much money, but you know, about half of my income goes to either my lawyer or my ex-wife. So the other half pays for feeding the dogs and keeping the house going. So I that's why I look for people to do things with, because I can't just go out and hang out here or there all the time. I just need to, even if I'm just sitting having a coffee talking to somebody for an hour or something, I need to get out. And Mr. Speaker, I thank you for coming in. Yeah, Bell, let's talk, man. That's just it, right? It's that day. I don't normally support Bell in any way. I do think that we need to do a lot more things than just let's talk. But if they're gonna donate 5 cents to every time that hashtag is used to the Canadian Mental Health Association, let's fucking talk. Let's get this shit out there. I told this story on Heart to Heart, and I was at one of the fuck, what do they call it? It was the brew fest for Niagara College. What do they call those? Oh, Project Brew. I was at a Project Brew, and one of the fathers of one of the brewing students came up to me and he's like, I watch your channel. I've seen some of your Heart to Heart stuff. He goes, my son. I don't know if he's going to talk to you about it, but can you go and talk to him? He's suffering a bunch of depression. He's having a bunch of problems with it. And I talked to him a few times during the Project Brew. He wouldn't open up at all. But he goes, hey, after Project Brew, we're going down the street to Fiddler's, to the Fiddler's Poorhouse. Do you want to come and join us for the after party? I'm like, sure. So we go to Fiddler's Poorhouse. We're all there. There's me. There's a couple of my buddies, and there's like 50 kids from the college, and we're all drinking. And at one point, we end up at a table, and it's just me and him. And he sits in close, and he actually starts talking to me about his things. And I start talking to him about what I had been through and how I dealt with a lot of things, and the options that are available here in the Niagara region. And the kid got my number, and he's texted me a few times since then. But by the time I left that place, he was crying, with his head on my shoulders, crying, because I was the first person he could actually open up to. He told me his dad didn't even know the extent of everything, and that was something that weirded me out for days. It weirded me out that first off, he was felt safe enough and open enough to talk to me, a complete stranger, that much. And maybe it was the same reason I can talk to complete strangers, because I know that I don't have to look at them again. I know that they're not judging me. Well, even if they are judging me, I won't care, because I'm not around them anymore. But it was weird to me. It was weird to me that, and it was even more weird to me that the only reason that talk started was because of a stupid drinking in my basement video channel on YouTube. All is well, Al. What's going on, sir? I was just doing the Bell Let's Talk shit today, there, Al. That's all. Just doing the Bell Let's Talk shit today. So I have 10 more minutes. Is there anyone even watching right now? I think I have 10 minutes before I have to start working out. Let's look at the time. Yeah, I have 10 minutes before I have to start working out, because Boychuk will be here to go to the lawyer with me at 2:30. So is there anything any of you guys want to ask, anything you want to talk about, anything like that? Again, this is... as most of you know, this type of shit is not just for me, it's for anyone that wants it to be for them as well. I'm good with that shit. Second, just doing something here. Bang, 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 bang. Yeah. You know what, Al? I completely agree with you. So Al, there was mental health is the next major health crisis, like heart disease and chronic illness. Poor diet, overwork, stress, all contribute to mental health strain for everyone to some degree. And yeah, I fully agree with you as well. And I mean, I think that's one of the reasons why mental health is such a big thing in North America. Is our diet is one of the worst diets in the world. Everything is processed. Everything is Everything is high sugar. It's stupid, and we stress out about things we shouldn't stress out about. We stress out about nothing. We stress out about so much stupid shit, and I mean it is what it is, but I don't know. It's it's just one of those things. I mean, I can't believe how much happier I've been since I pulled processed shit out of my diet. Yeah, I do still eat the odd thing here and there that's been processed, but since I stopped eating it all the time, my fucking god, I've been so much happier. I've felt so much healthier. Um, yeah, I mean, as you know, Al, I do the keto diet. I cycle out to a carb diet once every 3 weeks or so. Now I don't go back to the point I was at, but because I do bodybuilding a lot, like because I'm doing my strength training, I cycle into a week of carbs just to replenish the fuel in my body. But I'm still not doing, what is it? 240 grams of carbs is what they figure is your daily dose. I might have 100 grams on my days that I cycle in, and then usually during that cycle week is when I'll do most of my drinking, like most of my reviews and stuff. Um, it's a stupid system that we've created, where everything is sugar, everything is just bad for you. I mean, when I look back at my old diet, where I was fat. I was gigantic. I mean, I still think I'm fat, but nothing like I was. But when I think about that, um, it's there was almost no fat in my diet, and I was a fat motherfucker. It was all sugar and everything being converted to fat. Even though carbs are the first thing that gets burnt off as energy, you take in way too much to burn off in a day. The only person I know that eats a very high carb diet and is a bone rack is the punter Simon. But Simon is a butcher and he's just running back and forth and lifting up fucking dead cows and shit all day. So what do we have here? I was diagnosed with PTSD this year, and it really does feel good to know what the hell is going on with myself. Trying to off myself wasn't as great an idea as it seemed in theory. And see, Mr. Speaker, I fully and utterly can relate to that question. I mean, like I said, I tried twice, and in the last year and a half, in the last year and a half, up until from May back, uh, every single day I thought about it. Every single day I was at the point where I was going to do it. And there was some days where I legitimately was going to do it. Like I said, my breaking point was when I was with my buddy Alex, and I was ready to roll over that railing. Um, Not a good idea. Dealing with my shit was a much better idea, and I mean, I'm sick with myself for that thought. And the worst part is, with that eidetic memory, I can remember those thoughts. I can remember exactly how that looked. I can remember exactly what was going through my mind. However, the other thing is, I'm disgusted with myself because I would have left my kids without a father. I mean, in theory, they're without a father right now because I don't get to see them. But I would have legitimately left them without a father, and I would have made. I had always swore I wouldn't let them grow up the way I grew up, and it would have made them grow up worse. So I'm glad that I didn't, but I'm still sick with myself for even thinking about it. PTSD, really, the PTSD therapies are pretty much the same therapies I do for BPD, and to get into a proper dialectical behavioral therapy, like I've done two now. Well, I'm going to be done two in 2 weeks. I've done one already. I've done level one, and I'm doing level two at the hospital right now. But to get into the proper one, the like 2 year program, is a 2 to 3 year waiting list. Like that's where our mental health system is at. This is the one thing I need to take to get better. The one thing I need to turn my life around, and 2 to 3 year waiting list. That's what my choice is. A 2 to 3 year waiting list. Luckily, you're able to buy Marsha's book online. You're able to buy all the workbooks online, and you can work through them yourself if you really have to. And that's what I've been trying to do. And luckily, I do have a support network now through the hospital, through the people that I've worked with already. So I can go in and say, hey, look, this is the skill I'm working on right now. Can you give me any pointers on this? Am I doing this properly? What and talk to them about that shit. That's the only good thing going is, yeah, I can work on it on my own, but because I've done two dialectical behavioral therapies already, and because I'm on my third cognitive behavioral therapy course, I know what I'm supposed to be doing. And now that I'm getting into the in-depth stuff, even if I don't have a psychiatrist teaching it to me, I can go in and talk to the psychiatrist at the hospital and make sure that I'm doing it right. I can go and talk to my mental health nurse, Sue. I don't see her often, but she's the one with my case file. Matt, the other mental health nurse that I work with in my CBT courses, I can go and see him. The social worker that did my first DBT course, he actually calls me once a month or so to make sure things are still going good. Like it, and again, they're all amazed that I haven't given up. They say that most people end up doing that in this area. I'm not talking about like geographically, but in this area of mental health, most people end up giving up, and I'm not willing to do that. Yeah, I like I said, Mr. Speaker, if I hadn't been calling over and over and over again, I wouldn't have gotten in. I would have still been I wouldn't have I just now, if I didn't keep calling and calling and calling, if I had still been around, if I had made it this far, this is when I would be going in. This is when I'd be going in to see a shrink around now, because well, no, it would have been back in late November, early December. So now is when I would have been starting my courses. Like it's a sick thing. This is why people keep things to themselves, because they don't think there's help out there, and they don't want to deal with things. They don't want to deal with the shit that comes afterwards. The best therapy is mediation, acceptance, and proper diet with supportive friends and family. That is the biggest piece and most commonly missing support. And yeah, I agree, Al. It's the part that completely is missing out of my side. I have no support other than myself, and that's just the way it is, and it's just the way it's going to be. Um, I had a lot of friends that I thought would be here to support me. I have like two of them that come by, um, and that's just the way it is. And yeah, that's that. CBT and DBT. DBT is a mixture of CBT, Buddhism, and a bunch of other psychological tools. And I mean, those two give you the tools. They give you the tools to challenge your trauma and try and support the pain that comes and to challenge that pain. Uh, and yeah, we are dangerously underserved for shrinks in health. In all honesty, the Niagara Falls Hospital has two shrinks. They have Dr. UEFO and they have Dr. Xanther, and that's it for the entire mental health wing. You do have more shrinks if you go to St. Catharines, because St. Catharines does have the entire mental health ward, but it's still underdone. When I got sent, I got taken out of the house. I got taken out of the house a few days before I ended up seeing the shrink. I had said something online that somebody decided was bad, and this is the other thing, right? The reason you don't come out is once you come out, people take every single thing you say as bad. I don't even remember what it was about. Well, that's a lie. I do remember what it was about. It's how do I word it? Um, oh, it was I had posted some of my old song lyrics, and I said, this stuff held true back then. It holds true now, and it was some song lyrics about dark times. It wasn't about, oh my God, I'm going to cut my wrist or anything like that. It was talking about pain, talking about darkness, and I'm like, and I even wrote in it. I'm like, this is not meant as a cry for help or anything like that. This is just me sharing something that I wrote when I was younger, and I think still holds strong today. And somebody called the cops on me, and the cops were here, and like usual, they were sitting there arguing with me and arguing with me and arguing with me, and I'm like, I'm not having a problem. I'm going to have a problem because you guys keep getting called anytime I say anything. Like, and I even said it to them. I'm like, this is the reason people don't come out. This is the reason why people hide shit until they kill themselves, because people can't deal with the shit that comes after it. The repercussions of admitting to having a problem is almost as bad, if not worse, than the problem itself. So I came out. I came out at work right after my ex-wife left. I came out publicly on Facebook, and I said, this is what I've been dealing with for the last 20 years. And I came out at work, and I talked to my bosses, and I'm like, look, this is where I'm at. I'm starting the process to try and get help, but this is where I'm at. And I remember it was a very stressful night, and I said to somebody, I can't deal with this right now. I need to go for a walk. And I went for a walk, and when I came back, I got pulled into the security office with a security soup, the shift manager, and three security guards, as well as two OPP officers and a paramedic. And they're like, "What's going on?" Like, nothing's going on. I needed to take a walk. I was in a high stress situation. I needed to take a walk. Well, we were told that you were talking about killing yourself. I'm like, what the fuck are you guys talking about? And I mean, I went off. And I said it to them too. I go, this is the reason people don't bring this shit up. Because no matter what you do after that, if I smile, I must be hiding something. If I'm not smiling, I must be ready to kill myself. If I say hi to somebody, I must be doing this. If I'm not happy enough when somebody talks to me, oh, I must be at the edge. If I'm too happy when somebody talks to me, I might be at the edge. This is the problem with our society, because now I can't do anything. There's nothing I can do and be accepted now because I've come out and said this shit. And we went off and fought and fought and fought back and forth for like 35 minutes in that security office. And I got written off work that night. Then I was off work until the middle of September. But I got written off work that night. And to make things worse, some of you know where I work. I'm not going to bring it up publicly here, but some of you know where I work. It's a very big place with a lot of people. There are a lot of places where people that are there, customers, won't see you. When they took me out, I had 5 OPP officers, 2 NRP officers, 6 security guards, and 3 paramedics walk me in front of everybody across the floor and put me into a ambulance because I had to take a walk from stress. That's what I had to deal with. And while I'm in the ambulance, I'm talking to the paramedic, and I go, do you think that lowered my stress level at any bit, or my anxiety, or my panic, or anything else? Do you think that makes it so that I want to come back to this workplace? Do you think that makes it so that I feel safe to come back to this workplace? And so I get sent out. I I come home. I come home that same night because the doctors are like, you aren't in a danger zone right now. There's nothing we can do. Our mental health ward is filled. Unless you try to kill yourself right now, there's nothing we can do. So we're sending you home. I'm like, great, send me home. And then I was talking to my boss, one of my supervisors at work, on the phone. And after I hung up the phone, about 35 minutes later, somebody showed up at my door, another cop, checking on me because, my boss thought maybe I was going to do something. Um, that cop left. I'm like, I don't know what you want. My ex-wife broke up with me over text a few days later. 14 years together, she broke up with me over text. Um, I'm not coming back. I don't care that you're getting help. I have no feelings for you anymore. Okay, fine. I texted her back. My text back. She ended up calling the cops on me too. And my text back to her was like, so 14 years together, and this is the respect I get when you're breaking up with me. You're going to text me you're breaking up. You're not going to call me. You're not going to see me. You're going to text me this. Like that makes me feel very wanted. That makes me feel very warm. That makes me feel like this 14 years was really well spent. And she ended up sending the cops to me because she said I was going to kill myself. And the cop is like, we have suicidal threats. I'm like, what suicidal threats do you have? He goes, she said you texted her suicidal threats. So I hand him my phone. He goes through it. He goes, yeah, there's nothing on here. Oh no, can you fuck off? Can you leave me alone? Simon came that same day because I was freaking out. I'm like, I don't know what to do. I've been ridden off work. My ex-wife is gone. I haven't seen my kids in 2 months. I'm breaking. Like I've been fighting this for 20 years, and I don't think I can fight it anymore. So he came and he was here. And while he was here, the cops got called again, and he's like, I'm going to deal with it. I wasn't even online that night. I said nothing. What it was somebody called and I didn't pick up because my phone was in the other room. So they sent the cops to the house. And Simon was even saying the same thing. He's like, my buddy's having some problems. He's doing the steps to get help. You guys aren't helping him. This is not helping him at all. You're making things worse. Can you just leave? And they wouldn't leave. He's like, I'm not leaving. I'm here all night. He's fine. Can you leave? Can you stop this? Can you stop showing up every fucking 4 hours? He goes, it's just putting him on edge. That's what you're doing. You're putting him on edge. Can you stop? And I mean, it was 8 visits. 8 visits is what I had when they pulled me out of the house. They wouldn't let me just close the door. They were like, we'll break the door down. I don't have the money to replace the door, so whatever, come in. And they're like, well, we got to take you. And I'm like, why do you have to take me? There's nothing wrong. Well, you're here alone. Of course I'm here alone. My family lives fucking 7 hours away, and all my friends here have abandoned me because they don't want to deal with this shit. What do we have? Ali Palooza. People are so judgmental they don't understand that mental illness is not always an immediate threat. It seems when it is an urgent problem, no one is around. And you know what, Ali Palooza, I would fully agree with that. There were times in my life that it was probably an urgent threat. That wasn't one of them. In all honesty, luckily for me, when I was at the point where it was urgent, I did have my buddy Alex with me. That's the one good thing that was coming with it. I was incorrectly put on suicide watch for talking about mental illness way back in school. Sorry guys, I just a little farther north than you. As common as mental illness is, it's amazing how misunderstood it is. And I mean, that's the thing, Ali Palooza. It's scary just how misunderstood it is. It's scary just how people just don't care to learn. They just want to hold it against you and everything else. Similar to other issues, people are not honest with themselves, and thus we have overreaction. I got arrested for calling the crisis line. They put me in cuffs and detained me for 4 days in the hospital. See, Mr. Speaker, if our healthcare system down here in Niagara was any better, I would have been as well, but it's so underfunded and so small that there was no place for me. When they took me out of the house and brought me in, I was there, pacing, basically. I was sitting down in the hall. They had me in a hall by myself. They had us. Every room was filled. Every bed up on the ward was filled. Every room for examination was filled. And then there's 5 different little halls down there that are all separated by security doors. So they had a different person in each separate hall, and they had a security guard sitting in each hall, like one of the hospital security. And it was a big fat guy, and I'm sitting there, and it's been like 3 hours, and I'm just sitting there. And I'm like, I can't do this anymore. And I stood up and I started pacing, and the guy stands up too, and he's just watching me as I'm pacing. And I looked at him and I go, buddy, if I'm violent, you're not going to stop me, and you would have been put down already. And he's like, excuse me? I go, you wouldn't stop me, buddy. If I was violent, there's no way. Even with that fucking pepper spray on you, there's no way you're stopping me if I was violent. You might as well just sit down and let me pace, because now you're just making me agitated. And I get into the room, and I'm talking to one of the doctors, and it was the ER doctor I was talking to, with a mental health nurse there. And he's like, why did they send you here? So I tell him the whole story, and he's looking at me and he goes, are you suicidal? I go, man, I'm not looking, like, I'm not at the point in my life at all where I'm looking for attention. If I was suicidal, I'd commit suicide. There's nothing you could do to stop me. I'm like, I could bang my head against the wall. I could use my nails to cut my throat. I could use my nails to cut my wrist. There's nothing that's going to stop me if I really want to. I'm like, you're having me sit here beside a sharp desk. Guess what I can do with that? I'm like, again, I'm not at that point. I'm getting to that point because you guys are fucking pushing me, but I'm not at that point. But hey, I'm so proud of you, Chad. You're doing so well for yourself. Keep up the good work. You're strong for doing this on your own. Well, thank you. I don't feel strong often, but hey, it is where I'm at. Now, when I was up in Ottawa, when I lived in Ottawa, I would have been detained for days. When I lived in Ottawa, I was at the Ottawa U at the Royal Ottawa, the mental that I was. The mental institution where I was told I had BPD. Fair dues for the punter for being there. Yeah, the punter is a good guy. My wife left too. I understand, Albino. Well, I'm sorry, Mr. Speaker. I'm sorry for that. It is. It is what it is. I mean, I do, again, I don't blame her for leaving. She dealt with a lot. I find it funny that she put up with so much, and then the second I was at the point where I could get treatment is when she decided she was done. That I find funny, but that it is what it is. The Canadian justice system only puts added anxiety on the situation. The last thing people want in a position like that is to be treated like a toddler. It just adds stress. Exactly. I 100% agree with you. And I mean, you come out and ask for help, and then you're treated like a criminal. Again, I'm going through court right now to try and see my kids, and I'm a horrible individual. I'm a horrible man because I have mental health issues. Because I have mental health issues, my ex-wife doesn't have to prove any of her allegations that aren't true. I mean, I admit that I wasn't the greatest guy. I yelled a lot. I said some mean things, but a lot of, 90% of the things she says didn't happen, but she said they happened because she wanted to get out of the city and be with her mother in another city. She wasn't legally allowed to leave unless there was a reason for her to leave. So a lot of things were brought up that never happened, and it is what it is, and so I mean, it's sickening to me that just the knowledge that you have this illness makes you guilty right away. I go to Pathstones to see my kids. You go to Pathstones, they take your phone, take your keys. They make sure you don't have any weapons. You can't have anything on you. You bring cake for your kids. Nobody can even give you a plastic knife to cut the cake because you're a dangerous person. I'm there because I have depression and BPD, and I went to get help, and I admitted to having it. So because I admitted to having it, I'm a criminal that has to do this shit to see my kids. Every word I say to my kids gets written down. I'm not allowed to hug or tell my kids that I love them because that is controlling them. That's manipulating them. This is the shit I have to deal with. This is the shit I have to go through. I have a 15-page booklet of everything I'm allowed to do and not do when I'm there. And the only reason I'm there is because the judge has decided that I'm a horrible individual, even though there's no proof of anything, because I have BPD. So I do what I have to do. What's this? Not feeling strong is part of it, and that's okay. Actions speak louder than words, or brains in this case. Yeah. I can't really fight that one. And that's it, Al. Powerlessness. And I mean, I'm powerless to the entire situation. I'm, I was powerless to help myself at the time, but I was powerless because I let myself be powerless. And I know that after the fact. I know that I had the power to do things. I was scared. I was scared to admit to anything. I was scared to come out and say things that needed to be said. I was scared to be the person I needed to be. It's stupid of me. It was stupid of me, and it's the reason why I lost 20 years of my life. Again, my family dies. My males in my family die between 55 and 65. I've lost half of my life basically to this shit. And what's left of my life, I'm going to be fighting to see my kids. But they're worth it. They're them growing and having a better life than I had, and hopefully not having to deal with the same things I had to deal with. And if they do have to deal with the same things I had to deal with, hopefully not having to be scared to admit to it makes it worth it to me. Why do I do the charity work I do? Why do I run a beer festival and donate all my money to charity instead of making profit? I could make 15 grand in profit if I wanted to. And, you know, I could throw another festival then and make another 15 grand and not do anything. Why do I do that? Because I want to help people. I want to make people better off than I was. And one thing that really bothers me is BPD often gets mistaken for mistaken is the best. Yeah. It often gets mistaken for narcissism because narcissistic personality disorder and borderline personality disorder does have a lot of the same characteristics. The main difference is one has absolutely no empathy and one has a lot of empathy. I have a lot of empathy for a lot of people. I try my best to help as many people as I can. I don't think about myself and only myself. And the fact of the matter is, I'm going to be here on my own for a long time. And I get that. I'm going to be on my own for a long time because most people... Second. You guys get to look at this way for a minute. Everything's good. It was just the mailman. The mailman's gone. Bang. Okay, so where was I? I get yeah. I'm just bothered by the fact that when you say the words BPD, a lot of people run, and they run fast, and they run fast for one reason and one reason only. They run fast because they think you're a narcissist. They think that that's the same thing. It's not. It's not at all. And it's one of those things, again, that get mixed up. There's so many mental illnesses that get mixed up together. Again, luckily for me, for the most part, my depression's controlled by my pills. By my pills and my working out and my diet basically controls my depression. My therapy has really helped me with my BPD. Again, my self-image and my self-worth are the two things that I really still have trouble with. I don't have fears of people abandoning me anymore. I've actually cut off ties with a lot of people that I used to hold on to because I realized they were toxic for me anyway. It is what it is. I mean, I don't care about the abandonment anymore. It's at least one of the few things that I fixed. Now, self-image, self-worth, self-confidence, self-esteem, still huge on me. Suicidal thoughts, haven't had them in a long time. Well, I can't say that. They're there, but they're not like they were. They'll probably always be there. I'll probably always have the option for that in my mind. But unlike before, it's not that warm blanket anymore. It's scary that it's there, and I push it away as often as I can. It comes in, and I push it away with the tides. Reckless behavior. Haven't had that in a while. Yay to that. Impulsiveness. Pretty much under control. I mean, I still make some impulse buys and stuff like that. That was my big thing, was buying things. Impulse buys were my thing. For self-harm, my thing was binge eating, binge drinking, and and punching things. I didn't cut. I was never a cutter. I was never a burner. But I would put my fist through things, very hard things. Stand at a brick wall and punch it as much as you can. That type of stuff. Metal pole. That type of stuff. Binge eating and binge drinking. Those were my self-harm behaviors. I haven't done any of them in 5 months. Technically, if you go by the DSM, I do not have BPD anymore, because to have BPD you have to have more than 5 of the 9 symptoms. I currently have 4 of the 9 symptoms because I've taken 5 of them out of my life and have wholeheartedly been able to control it. However, for the rest of my life I will still be known as somebody that had BPD. I'll still be on my diagnosis. BPD will still be there. It'll be in my medical file, because there's nothing saying those symptoms won't come back. It's just, luckily, my therapy has been able to help me push away a lot of things. Did I push away the worst ones or the best one or the easiest ones? I don't know. I think a lot of the easiest ones are gone. I also think a lot of the worst ones are gone. And the ones that I still have, I might never get rid of completely, but they're manageable now. I'm nowhere near the frazzled, fucked up human being I was. And the worst part was, I was on here. I was on here live. I was on here on video. I have 6,000 videos online? None of you knew. No one in my life knew. My ex-wife, my now deceased grandmother, to an extent my father, and 2 of my best friends were all that knew what was going on in me in my entire life. For the last 20 years, those 5 were the only ones that knew. And I know people probably figured something was wrong with me. Some people probably did, but yeah. A lot of people with BPD have developed it as a shield, at least those I've come in contact with. Which thing were we talking about with this shield? I don't remember what topic we were on there, because I've been going so much. I kind of lost my train of thought when the dogs went. Well, I haven't gotten rid of all the toxic hanger-ons, Greg, but a lot of them are gone, and that is a huge step. It was a huge step in the right direction, a huge step that I didn't think I was going to. Oh, the narcissism. Okay, yeah, I could see some of them do that, and I could see how that could come on. But I mean, and again, a lot of narcissistic personality disorder and borderline personality disorder overlap. A lot of the 9 symptoms from BPD overlap with the symptoms in NPD. So I mean, I can see where people would figure it the same, but it's not. Even yeah, I think it's the part that bothers me the most though about BPD is the fact that it scares so many people away. I almost wish I wasn't truthful, because there's a lot of relationships that could have happened that didn't because of that. But again, I won't lie to somebody. This is what I have. This is what I've dealt with, and you can make your choice if you want to be involved with me or not. Good day, Swami. So what time is it now, guys? It's 1. I have an hour and a half working out. We're going to slowly start moving downstairs. We're going to let the dogs out to pee, and then we're going to start moving downstairs and go from there. Yeah. So, yeah. Let's go let those puppers out. And then we'll head our asses downstairs and do our workout before I go to the lawyer and then have to go to work. That's this. I've talked about this. Here's part of my my self-confidence and everything. I know that I look better than I did when I was 70 pounds heavier. I know I look a lot younger since I shaved. Just go pee. Don't look at me like that. Go pee. There's your sister. Go pee. This pisses me off, and that'll never go away now. It's fucking skin. It's not actually fat. I was just so fat for so fucking long that that's there for life now, unless I get surgery. I'm not getting surgery on it, but it just bothers me. It bothers me. It's one of those things that make me go, oh, fuck, people are gonna think I'm disgusting. Oh fuck, oh fuck, oh fuck. But yeah, I put up a bunch of pictures, and some pictures hurt. Some of these pictures hurt when I look at them. Pictures of my kids, they hurt, but they remind me why I'm doing a lot of the things I'm doing. Pictures of my grandmother, my late grandmother, they hurt, but they remind me of why I'm doing a lot of the things I'm doing. Pictures of some of my friends, a few of the people that actually knew what was going on. They hurt, but they remind me of why I'm doing the things I'm doing. Unfortunately, one of the pictures still has my ex-wife in it, but you know what? She was a part of my life for 15 years. I can't. I'm not going to go and just cut her out of the picture because it was a good picture. It was actually. It was one of the beer festival pictures. It was one of the group photos, and it's just I could have done it, but I'm not going to. So we're gonna head downstairs. What do we have? We have 13 of you still watching. So you guys, we have like 5 minutes left if you want to talk about anything. I'm going to get a nice big glass of water because I got to take some shit as soon as we get down to the basement. You have until I take my pills when I get down there. Well, my pills, they're protein tablets, basically, because my diet, I don't ingest enough anymore for the working out I do. So, you have until I get my gloves on, get my elbow pads on, and take my things. Well, thank you for sending lots of love back to anybody that wants it, anybody that needs it. Let's go, guys! Boris, Helga, let's go. Yeah, good babies. Okay, let's head her on down. Oh, they're following. They're following. Oh no. Okay. So, yeah, Bell Let's Talk Day. I went further than I thought I was going to. I did. Oh, do I have any fucking... I think I packed them. Fuck! Excuse my language, guys. I think I packed my wrist gloves. By wrist gloves, I mean my gloves that actually have the wrist support on them. Well, I have these ones over here. These are a little small, but these will work. And hopefully I still have... I know I packed my good elbow pads. Well, my elbow supports, but I think I have some... Yeah, okay, I still have two compression sleeves down here. They're just not as good. Not as good compression sleeves, but they'll work. They'll work. What do we got going on here? You know what? The cussing is in my DNA. Even my fucking little old grandmother was cussing all the time. I don't think it'll ever stop, but you never know. You never know. No, I know. It won't stop. Can't believe I packed. Oh, I know why they're packed. I have a photo shoot to do soon. That's why they're packed. What's going on here? Well, thank you, Greg. Much love to you as well from fucking Niagara Falls. Fucking Niagara Falls. Fucking Niagara Falls. are way too small. I shouldn't have packed them yet. I should have kept those gloves out until I was ready. Don't like these ones. Not as padded either, which aren't going to be good when I pick up those 100-pound dumbbells. Actually, I might get my hooks. 1 second. Get the hooks for when I do the dumbbells because these pads are going to suck. There's the hooks. And now let's put our shoes on. So, thank you to everybody that watched. Like I said, I'm always here if you guys need to talk. You should know how to get hold of me if you don't. A lot of you have my phone number. A lot of you have my email. Again, if you want to find me on Facebook, just look up the Albino Rhino. Just look up the Albino Rhino. You'll find me. Mostly because, yeah, that's what I am. Again, I wish you all the best. You're not alone. Somebody is here for you. Talk. Tell your story. Don't hide it. Don't pretend everything's okay when it's not. Don't pretend everything is just going to get better, because it's not. You have to actually do the work to make it better. It can get better. It most certainly can get better. I'm living proof that it can. I'm also living proof that if you don't do the work for it, you're going to waste 20 years of your life trying to get it better. So don't do that. Don't do my shit. Don't be an idiot. Do your shit. What do we have here? Good day, Mitter. How are you? Well, thank you for the words, regardless. There, Middle. It still means a lot, at least on the surface. It means a lot. Down deep, it still does too. Anything like that means a lot to me, especially from people that don't know me, that are just putting up with this, that are listening, that are trying to understand. And yeah, I'm glad that somebody actually wants to understand. That helps. But yeah, it is what it is. Am I complex and interesting? I don't think so. But it is, again, it is what it is. Take care of yourself too there, drunken one, Sean. Greg, thank you again. And yeah, guys, I got to go work out, and then I got to go to a lawyer. I'll probably talk about, my next court date is next Thursday. So, next Thursday or next Friday will probably be very bad days for me, because I have not been doing very good in court. It is what it is, but it is what it is in a bad way for the most part. And I gotta try and look positive. I gotta try and think positive, but it is hard when you're dealing with the shit that I'm dealing with in the court system, and you know exactly how you've been looked at in the court system. Now, one of the things that you learn in DBT and CBT is that you can't mind read. You can't be there saying, I know what's going to happen. But I've pretty much seen what's going to happen, because it's been, fuck, that pisses me off. I'm going to get a knife and cut it off. No, I'm not. No. Because of what we're talking about, I'm just going to say right up, no, I'm not. Yeah, so you're told to not try and mind read and all that, but it's really hard when you've been through court now 3 times and it's happened the same way each time, and you're going to for your 4th one, and you're just, all I can hope is that sooner or later the truth comes out and things change. That's all I can hope. Whether or not it does, I don't know. Anyway, guys, thank you for watching. Bell Let's Talk Day. Go and talk. Go and do your shit. Get this stuff out there. Don't hide it. Don't Don't hope that things are just going to get better, because you need to do the work to do it. Well, Al, you know where I am. I'm more than welcome to hang out anytime. I have pretty much every single day available other than Mondays and Tuesdays, because those are my 2 therapy days. In 2 weeks, I'll have Mondays open again for a while. Thank you guys again. I can only hope things continue changing, Mr. Speaker. You get to see my horrible, horrible ceiling. I have to rewire half this house. At some point I'll do it. It's on my to-do list. My to-do list is pretty fucking big. Anyway, I gotta do this workout quick. Bye, guys. Love you all. Au revoir. Au bientôt. See you soon. Bye-bye.